Pole dancers. Who was that one? Regular. You could never figure out? Everyone at the club thought Sheldon stared at us every night so he could pick which dancer he wanted to jump and grape in the parking lot. This old guy came in every single night and just sat there watching the dancers while eating chicken wings from the buffet. He had this wrinkled face and these intense Jeffrey Dahmer eyes that followed you around the room, but something about him never bothered me. Maybe it was because I grew up with a grandpa who looked scary but was actually the sweetest man alive. I'd walk over to him sometimes and offer a lap dance. He'd always shake his head and slip me some crumpled bills instead. "Keep working hard, kiddo. I promise one day this will all be worth something," he'd say in this gravelly voice. The bills were always nothing larger than 20, but they looked like they'd been through the washing machine. The thing that really got to me was how everyone else treated him. The bouncers would watch him like hawks, and even some of the girls would make gagging noises when they walked past his table, but he never did anything wrong. He just sat there eating his wings and watching the stage. Oddly enough, he made my life inside the club a little familiar. My life outside the club was falling apart though. My mom had been sick for months and I was drowning in medical bills. My daughter Lily was only 6, and I was trying so hard to keep everything normal for her. Some nights I'd get home at 4 in the morning and have to wake up at 7 to get her ready for school. My eye bags had eye bags. Then one night everything crashed down. I got the call during my shift. My mom was gone. The cancer finally won. I made it through the rest of my shift on autopilot, but when I got to the parking lot, I completely lost it. I sat in my car just absolutely sobbing and wiping my like snot into my coat. My mom was my rock. She watched Lily when I worked and never judged me for dancing. Now I had nobody. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around and saw Sheldon standing there with his hands in his pockets. My whole body tensed up. Here I was, alone in a dark parking lot with the weird guy from the club. But then he did something that surprised me. "Lost someone important, huh?" he said softly. It wasn't a question. He pulled out a clean handkerchief from his pocket and handed it to me. The pain never really goes away, but it does get easier to carry. We talked for maybe 10 minutes. He briefly mentioned having a daughter, but his eyes got all watery when he talked about her. Before he left, he pressed another crumpled 20 into my hand and said, "For the little one, make sure she knows how loved she is." After that night, things started changing. Anonymous checks started showing up at my apartment. Not huge amounts, but enough to cover groceries and keep the lights on. At my mom's funeral, there were these beautiful white roses everywhere. The funeral director said they were already paid for by someone who wanted to remain anonymous. Then Sheldon stopped coming to the club. One night he was there, and the next he wasn't. Days turned into weeks. I asked around, but nobody knew what happened to him. Part of me worried something bad had happened, but I tried not to think about it too much. About a month later, I got a thick envelope in the mail. Inside was the deed to the club with my name on it. There was also a letter in shaky handwriting. "Dear Crystal, you probably know by now that I'm gone. I need you to understand why I spent all those nights in your club. My daughter Eileen was a dancer. Instead of supporting her, I shamed her. I called her horrible names and told her she was dead to me. She took her own life because of my cruelty. I've spent the last 5 years trying to understand her world. I wanted to make things right somehow. You reminded me of her. Strong and kind despite everything. The club is yours now. Make it a place where women feel safe and respected, where nobody gets shamed for trying to survive. Take care of yourself and that little girl. Make sure she knows she's perfect no matter what path she chooses. Sheldon." I ugly cried for an hour after reading that letter. Now I own the club and we have strict no-shaming policies. The dancers get health insurance and flexible schedules for family stuff. Some of the girls have even started taking business classes because I set up a tuition program. We've expanded into real estate and I make sure every woman who works for me has support for her family. I also got rid of that nasty buffet, but I made sure to keep chicken wings on the menu, just for you, Sheldon.